everybody. Welcome to our show. Welcome back from one side to the other. Kristoff N. Chester. Running a bit behind today, as some of you can tell. Hello, Mr. Bishop. It's funny. The two most reliable people in our shows have been my little brother and your dad, Mr. Bishop.
Thanks,
but for the record, Mr. Bishop, you're not getting my dogs. Yeah, was that? No, that was during the hot sauce challenge thing. He was like, "I'm in the will, right? I get the dogs." No. We're gonna give a second, make sure everybody's here. We're getting people in. Let me double check my phone, make sure that people even are aware of what's going on. Make sure. Like I said, we're running really behind today. Pretty much my fault. I'm gonna acknowledge that one right there. But we are here. We are live and rocking out. Talking about what's probably going to be a bit of a touchy, more controversial subject matter. We're going to be discussing the dark arts, black magic, practitioners of those sort of things. Like I said, once we give a few minutes for a few more people to get here and get all situated and comfortable, just going to rip the Band-Aid off and talk about literally like the one thing I have been dreading talking about. Something that people have been asking for literally since the first episode. Excuse me, sorry. See, it's like a sign. I shouldn't be doing this. Already having a sneezing fit. Well, that's nice that they would fit perfectly in your house. They're mine. They're my dogs. Leave famine and gluttony alone. They're my good girls. Could you turn... Actually, you know what? The mic... Hold on a second here. Let me... How does this sound? People are in the chat. Someone's saying you need to turn the microphone up. Hi, Connie. Hi, Mom. Is that better? Because the microphone was... yeah, hold on here. How is this, folks? Is it getting better? Need a response, folks. Okay, how's now? Hey, Chet. Yeppers sounds better. Okay, cool. Good. Wunderbar. Simply wunderbar. Yes, I actually can speak a little bit of German. I know. It's like the easiest second language to learn for English speakers, but I still can do it, so yeah. Anyway, though, yeah, we're getting some people in here. We're getting people talking. I can't put this off anymore. Try to be a little bit louder. I'll try. There's literally not a whole lot we can actually do with this microphone. It basically picks up what it picks up. I personally like the little thing, even though it's a cheapo. But anyway. Yeah, hopefully it's coming through clear. Oh, excuse me. Like I said, we're all kind of discombobulated. We're all kinds of discombobulated here, actually, and it's entirely my own fault. I keep telling people, like, I really wasn't looking forward to this topic. Maybe it was some subliminal thing. I was trying to put this off and trying to cancel. But no, we're going to start out by talking about probably my least favorite discussion about supernatural, the weird and the strange, and so on. Just because personally, I'm so sick of hearing about this. I can't stand this topic coming up anymore because it's been driven into the ground harder than someone who just got pile drived. I'm talking, of course, about Skinwalkers. I guarantee you half the chat were like, he's going to say West Virginia. And you'd be close. I'm not sick of talking about West Virginia. I just I just think no one should go there because it's actually quite dangerous and everything strange and weird pretty much originates there. But no, we're talking about Skinwalkers first. And I'll get this out of the way first before I actually talk about what is a Skinwalker. I'll explain why do I have such a beef with them, why am I so annoyed about it. Mainly, it's actually TikTok. I don't even have the bleepin' app of TikTok, and I still manage to constantly have to hear about these yuppie little almost cursed there. These yuppie little dingbats who are constantly on their phone, and they all will have to post these 15-second videos filming some homeless person or someone who's drunk or is doped out or something. It's like, oh my god, is it a skinwalker? I just saw a skinwalker. It's like, no, those aren't skinwalkers. First of all, a skinwalker is actually a very powerful shaman, and their most dangerous attribute is how deceptive they are. So if you see someone acting weird, there's a good chance they're not a bloody skinwalker. Skinwalkers wouldn't behave disorderly and weird. They would be calm, quiet, and fit in perfectly because that's the entire point of their power. Okay? So, put your phone down and stop filming the poor homeless people. They're not skinwalkers. Most of them honestly need help. But thank goodness you got those 10,000 clicks because you said hashtag skinwalkers. Which, by the way, I refuse to use that hashtag. I didn't put it even in the description for the video because I'm so sick of hearing about them. Anyone else feel like they need a cigarette now? Just me? Okay, just me. Anyway, sorry, I really can't stand how common skinwalkers are of a thing now. Everybody has to talk about them. Everyone mentions them nonstop. And for the record, yes, this is my Halloween 3, okay? I will rant and rave about how much I hate this thing until the cows come home. So I'm going to try not to, and we're going to get into what is a skinwalker. We know what they're not. They're not the thing in the 15 million TikTok videos. See, Connie gets it. Why don't the rest of you get it? Everybody's been asking me for skinwalker videos. Talk about skinwalkers. Talk about skinwalkers. Don't make me talk about skinwalkers. I'm so sick of hearing that name. Which, by the way, isn't even their original name. Okay, here we go. What is a skinwalker? Okay, a skinwalker is a type of shaman. Now, the terminology is kind of weird because these creatures were told about all across North America. Mostly in the southern half. I mean, not as much up north by Canada. That's more Wendigo territory. Skinwalker. Oh boy, I knew Chet was going to be in the... we're going to have to agree to disagree here, Chet. Skinwalkers are not benevolent. They are, by definition, a black magic user. See, according to the Navajo people, who most of our stories come from, a skinwalker gets their power from a pact they made with evil or dark spirits, which they cemented by murdering a family member. They must ritualistically sacrifice, and I'm not just talking about, oh, your roommate who lives down the hall. No. Blood. It must be a blood relative, a sibling or a parent or a grandparent, someone intricately close to you, in order to become a skinwalker. Now, they have lots of powers, supposedly. They can do curses. There are some stories that they can afflict the weather. But the big one is, of course, the thing everybody knows them for, shape-shifting. They will shape-shift to... I knew he was going to bring this up. I knew he was going to discuss this. But anyway, I'll get to you, Chet. I'll get to you in a minute. Later in, I'm half tempted to recall him and just have that argument because he believes there is no such thing as good or evil, and I disagree. But anyway, yeah, I'll get to you, Chet. I see you in the chat. We'll discuss things in a bit, maybe. Be a cool thing. Have a second call in. Anyway, though, back to my point. So, their big thing is shape-shifting. Now, a lot of stories will tell you that when they do shape-shift, it's noticeable. Like, they'll be the wrong size. There'll be a huge coyote or strange colored fur, things like that. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. I don't know what's going on. The bishop is freaking out in the corner. As soon as I mention, making dark rituals and pacts with people, suddenly the bishop is the one who gets uncomfortable. You okay over there? Is there something you want to tell the class?
It's very hot in here.
We're in the middle of the desert. Of course it's bloody hot. I'm in black in a jacket and you're bothered? Anyway. See, I knew this was going to be the controversial. I figured this would be the controversial episode. I didn't figure this would be another one. Like, remember the aliens? Where everything went wrong? And we had all the complications before the show. This time we have all the complications. This is going to be another alien episode. I can feel it. Winners of War, right? History books. So then I take it that skinwalkers aren't very good at fighting wars. Anyway, though. Now, and here's the thing and this kind of compilates why I'm sick of hearing about skinwalkers in the first place. Every source I looked at, they said it's actually considered incredibly disrespectful and rude to the Navajo people to even discuss skinwalkers. It'd be kind of like if you were a Christian and like someone was like, "Oh, you're a Christian? Tell me about the devil." It's like that's a dark, evil thing, and it's not a good representation of their culture and their mysticism and so on. So actually, a lot of them find it insulting to bring up skinwalkers at all. But anyway, I'm kind of getting all wibbly wobbly here about good and evil, and I knew that was going to happen. I knew you were going to be there, Chet. Anyway, though, they have a plethora of powers. The big one is that they can shapeshift. Now, the stories all specify that they can shapeshift into animals. I don't know if they can turn into people, but I know that their transformations are always wrong. Like, they're the wrong size, they're too big, or they'll have weird colored eyes or fur and things like that. So you can always kind of tell when it's a skinwalker, but not through its behavior. Okay, they're not staggering around acting like a drunk or like they're stoned out of their mind. They're the protectors of people. I think I know what you're talking about, Chet, and I don't think that's a skinwalker. But I love you too, Dad. I'm just saying, I have to disagree with you on this one. I think there very much is such a thing as good and evil. There's right and wrong. And again, I think you're actually getting creatures mixed up. Because everything I found about them, they are like the shameful mark in Navajo mythology and history. They are not protectors. They are dangerous kinslayers. But anyway, supposedly they're very powerful. They can do curses, affect the weather, stuff like that. The big one I found is that they are invincible when they're transformed. They can only be hurt or killed when they are their true selves. Now, some stories say that if you say the skinwalker's real name, it forces them back into their human form. Other stories will say they can only be in the animal form for so long. They have to change back eventually. So if you have to deal with one, you gotta like trap it and wait it out or something, or force it to turn into a human again. Beyond that, they can be slain like a human. They can be shot, stabbed, burned, whatever the hell. Not that I'm advocating for that, okay? If you think someone's a skinwalker, don't verify it via violence, okay? In fact, if you think you know a skinwalker, probably best just to avoid them. I don't think I'd want to deal with a skinwalker personally. I would not want to. But well, we'll get to him. Anyway, but like I said, And here's the thing that kind of sucks. Everybody wants me to talk about skinwalkers. Literally from the first episode, I had people saying, hey, you're going to talk about skinwalkers, right? I have told you everything there is to know about skinwalkers. Aside from personal hand accounts, there's not a whole lot about them, actually. They are a shaman, which is to say some kind of magic user, someone who can commune with spirits, who entered into a pact, killed a relative, and now they have shape-shifting powers, and maybe some other ones too. The other ones are kind of vague. Like, the big one, the key thing, their great power is the shape-shifting. Which, to be fair, yeah, humans are kind of weak in terms of like our senses. Yeah, it would be beneficial to be an animal, especially if you could keep your human mind. I wouldn't kill a relative for that power. So, family in the chat, you're safe. I would not do that. See, I'm just waiting for Sean to pop up in the chat like, I would. I know he would too. The weather is not hard. But unfortunately, there's not too much about them. They are, like I said, I mean, there's lots of stories about them, you know, but unfortunately, most. Well, Jeebus can't get here in the chat. He's lost in West Virginia. Anyway, sorry. Oh, there you are, Sean. In the Beyond Times. See, I was waiting for Sean to chime in and be like, I would sacrifice a family member. Not because I think he actually would, just because I know my brother, and I know if there's something disruptive he can say, he's going to say it. What the hell? What the? Whoa, what the? Okay, that's weird. No, like my computer just freaked out for a second and said we like lost everything. Like everything turned off. Okay, are we still there? Are we still here? People in the chat, let me know. Are we still alive?
Everything on my end is good.
See, I knew this. I told you we were going to offend someone. Some practitioner of the black arts is like, oh, so you think skinwalkers are overhyped, huh? Some weird bad juju. Like, I don't know.
We didn't lose anything.
We didn't lose anything. Okay.
Everything's good.
Everything was fine. I still got you.
Yeah, everything.
I wouldn't sacrifice anyone to be a skinwalker, but I'd be bros with someone who is a skinwalker. Imagine the TikTok. Oh. You know, there are times when you just have to acknowledge that you created a monster. I helped raise Sean, and look what he... Clout chasing on TikTok. This is why I don't do call-ins with you, boy. Oh my... I need a drink, and I don't even drink. Clout chasing on TikTok with skinwalkers. Mother... I am not letting... Are you kidding me? Bishop, with the chaos he causes in the chat, I am not putting him on a live microphone. The bishop thinks we should have Sean do a call-in. No. No. I will let Joseph Bishop play that one role in the Vagrancy he wants to so bad before I give Sean a live microphone. Anyway, as I was saying, sorry about that. We had, like I said, my computer freaked out and everything just turned off, and I thought we lost everything for a second. But anyway, we're going to get back on track. We're going to get back in there. Yeah, that's a skinwalker. Aside from first-hand witness testimonies and stuff like that, there's really not much to talk about them. Well, actually, there is one thing. There's a conspiracy. suppose some people claim that there is no Skinwalker legend, that the Native American people made it up basically as a prank on white settlers. Which, to be fair, history has shown some of the best pranksters, seriously, were the Native American people. I mean, I know we're getting off topic here. I know I'm getting off topic, but real quick, anyone know how Idaho got its name? It was a prank by the native people. It was a prank. The settlers asked guides that were leading them through the area, so what is this region called? Well, the problem is that you have a bunch of native people. You have a bunch of natives from the East Coast trying to move across the country. They'd never been there. They didn't know. So they literally said, I don't know. Which the settlers were like, Idaho. What a beautiful, unique name. We'll call this territory that. Idaho. It's I don't know. Because they didn't. Because they weren't from that area. "3 years from now, you'll be discussing Mediterranean culture and horror, and you'll regret it." That's a vaguely strange comment from Sean. Mediterranean culture. You know, now I have a target. Mediterranean culture. That's like Greek and Roman stuff, isn't it? Italy? That's that area? Italy, stuff like that?
Italy, Greek, Roman, North African.
See, nothing too much is coming to mind aside from like Greek and Roman history. The Minotaur, yeah. Which is, I had a frog named after the Minotaur. But anyway, we're getting off topic here, and I'm putting it off because this is another topic that I know is just going to bother me and annoy the crap out of me, because it does. Another kind of practitioner of the black arts, occultism, or an occultist, or a Satanist in some cases. So, what is occultism? Occultism is this really weird, I guess it's kind of a pseudo-religion, really. Eventually, I'm sure we'll get there. But anyway, occultism dates back around the 1200s, and it's really it's interesting, but it's also kind of sucks because like people water it down so much, and it's really annoying, especially for reasons I'll explain in a little bit. But occultism is kind of this weird blend of European paganism and Christianity. Oh yes, there are differences in occultism and Satanism to a degree, and again, I'll explain it. But occult stuff mostly has to do actually with angels and demons, which is annoying because people talk about Satan. It's like, well, actually, most occult writings will tell you you don't want to talk to him. There's lots of demons, however, that you can summon supposedly with occultism. And usually what an occultist would really do is they would summon various kinds of spirits, mostly demonic, and would try to either bind them to serve them or hold them temporarily to like pose questions to them. There's all kinds of them. And different demons are summoned for different things. What was his name? Uzo, I think is how you pronounce it. Was a specific, very powerful demon in occultism who could be summoned for knowledge of politics. USO, I think is what his name was. How you spelled his name? USO. And yeah, he was like this demon in occultism that could be summoned. You called him for political advice. I might be mispronouncing his name or something, but I'm sure the guy in the bushes can correct me later. It's like, actually, it's Usai. I don't. You get the point. The point is that occultism is very different from Satanism, even though it's often linked together. Occultism is all about summoning spirits and coercing them one way or another to give you something or help you with something. Of course, when I start talking about summoning demons, the bishop is in the corner just like, not happy with this topic. I can't imagine why you, of all people, would be opposed to talking about summoning demons. Some practitioners of the occult claimed, and even modern day occultists claim, that they have what are called familiars, which is a spirit that they have pulled into our reality, and it turns into an animal of some kind. Usually it's something that can be hidden away, like rats are common. Some people say how witches have a black cat. The black cat is a familiar. If you're a D&D nerd, you know that you're not a real magic user class until you get your familiar. Suck it, sorcerers. Sean, I shouldn't have to say this, but don't summon demons. Do not do that. It's like going to West Virginia. Nothing good will happen if you summon a demon, okay? Yeah, this is going to bug me. I'm going to look it up later now, and it's going to be like Osa or something like that. But anyway, the point is, occultism is not the same thing as Satanism. Satanism is something else entirely. And I'm just going to say it now. Satanism, occultism, and the Church of Satan are three separate things as well. I can feel it. I'm right at the edge of going into another rant. Nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be strong, and I'm not going to rant and ramble here. Occultism is the practice of summoning and coercing spirits. Now, the one that everyone talks about, of course, is how they can summon demons. But Mr. Bishop, if you please, the bishop over here is, why are you encouraging me? Anyway, he's chilled out. So, I'll explain the quick difference here. Satanism is the worship of Satan, the character in the Bible, the devil. Some people, like Chet, will mention that there's a difference between Satanism and Luciferism. But Luciferism is a separate thing as well. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Luciferism worships another version of the devil, not the one in the Bible. So that's a whole other thing of its own. But the point is, Satanists and occultists are not the same. A Satanist worships and serves the devil Satan. Versus an occultist who usually actually is kind of trying to steal that power. They summon and they bind a spirit. Now, what's interesting is that in the... Hold on, I have it here. The 1700s, there was a Father John Dee who made it his life's work to try and kind of counteract occultism. He felt that too many people were summoning demons and there was too much demonic power in the world. So he devoted himself to studying kind of counter-occultism, how to summon angels, how to commune with angels specifically. And what's sad is he wrote several basically journals about it, and ironically, occultists took his work and basically reverse engineered his reverse engineering. Say that 3 times fast. And many occultists actually used the knowledge of John Dee the worship of John Dee basically to prevent summoning angels when they want demons. Very sad if you think about it, actually. I mean, we're talking the 1700s. I mean, writing even a single book or something like that was life's work, and he wrote several. And I think it is very tragic that his work, ironically ended up being used by the very things that he hated so much. He thought there was way too much occultism. He thought it wasn't some childish game. He didn't think fortune tellers were something quaint for ladies to go visit. And yeah, he did not like this stuff. But anyway, I mean, yes, Sean, technically. Now to be fair, hold on. To be fair, if you're gonna go under the presumption that there are demons and you can summon demons, it makes sense that angels must be real and you could summon an angel. That's the weird thing too. You ever notice that? You don't hear about, angels entering into pacts with people. It's always a demon. Angels just aren't interested in doing that. Angels just kind of show up, do something, and they leave. Demons are the ones who want to become your roommate or something. By the way, don't. I can already see Sean type. I can see it from across time and space. Sean typing. Why not a demon? Why can't I have a demon roommate? Because they don't pick up after themselves, okay? And also, they're demons! It's a shame that Jesus is lost in a time loop in West Virginia. Because, I guarantee he would just be eating this up. He is for people who don't understand, for people who don't know, Jesus, our dear friend who sadly passed away because he went to West Virginia, he was a hardcore metalhead. I guarantee you. You mentioned demons, and he's like, yeah? he loves all that stuff. Mom says aliens. That's a theory that encounters with aliens and demons are actually aliens that we just misinterpret and misunderstand. Heck, we could talk a whole show about that too. But anyway, occultism is very dangerous, and even though technically, yeah, you could use it to contact an angel, hypothetically, primarily it's used for summoning demons and doing more diabolical work, so to speak. Psychic development. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put my foot down here and explain. We're really more talking about black magic and the dark arts. Telepathy, psychic readings, white magic, as some people call it, or light magic. Those are a whole other topic that we will probably discuss in the near future. We're talking about black magic. We might as well talk about white magic. And actually, it's funny because we're getting into wanted to get into the next topic. And this one, oh boy. If you guys thought I was stepping on your toes talking about Satanists and occultists and skinwalkers, I guarantee someone is going to write me an angry letter for the topic that we're about to discuss. And there it goes again. What the freak? It must be my computer. It's got to be my computer. You know what I think it is? Sorry, chat. We're having computer problems on my end. I think it's the fact that it's not plugged in. Because to those not watching, I have a computer, a little laptop that I keep off camera that I use to read notes and stuff. And for some reason, it keeps powering down on its own. So whatever practitioner of the black arts that I've offended, I'm going to keep doing it because I can just turn the damn thing back on. It's an expression, chat. I know that magic isn't necessarily good or evil or black or white. It's supposedly a tool, but it's an expression. Okay, you got to work with me here on the expressions and doing a show here, buddy. It's all great. I'm just going to take the shot here. There is no good or evil. There's only power. Said every evil magic user in history, chat. I'm just going to say Palpatine, Voldemort, Dick Cheney, all said the exact same thing, dude. But anyway, the next topic we're going to get into, and funny thing is I'm looking forward to this one because I actually like this topic. Um, voodoo. Let's discuss voodoo for a second, boys and girls. I'm just going to wait for a second to see the chat explode with, what the... Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be a chat-shattering kaboom. I do that pretty good, actually. Anyway, though. Voodoo is interesting. I personally love the topic of voodoo. And I'm going to just get this out of the way now. Voodoo is probably one of the most complex topics as far as the weird, the strange, and the unknown goes. But I want to stress, again, my fellow card-carrying members of the dark side, we're discussing evil, black magic, the dark arts, the bad things. I know that there's supposedly lots of good implications that can be used with witchcraft and voodoo. Not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about them this time. Okay? I know several people in the chat will be like, hey, you can't talk about voodoo and not talk about Maria Laveau. Laveau was not a black magician. She did good things, not bad. So she's not going to be on the topic list about bad witchcraft. Okay? For the record, I know of Miss Laveau. Big fan of her work. Not going to talk about her this week because we're not talking about good implications of magic. We're talking about the dark arts, the bad things. Need to go to the... You should, Sean. You should... Actually, come to think of it, Sean, you're there in Louisiana, aren't you? You should totally... Okay, fine. I said I wasn't going to talk about it. I'll talk about it real quick. Maria Laveau... Her grave used to be open to the public, and people would go there and ask her spirit for favors and stuff like that. Tragically, it was vandalized multiple times. In 2013, they actually closed it off to the public. But there's a plaque dedicated to her. It's where she used to have a store. She used to have a barber shop. And supposedly if you go to that plaque and you leave something like a hair tie, you can ask her spirit for a wish. But anyway, yes. Miss Laveau is definitely a topic that I'm aware of. Yes, we will talk about her in the future. Not this week. Not this week. This week we're going to be talking about the negative implications. Because the thing about voodoo is that practitioners of voodoo will tell you, yeah, there's good and bad. But voodoo is very complex. So much so that there's actually different kinds of voodoo. Looking it up there, this is something that everyone, anytime you actually go looking for information about voodoo, this is like the first thing they'll tell you. There's at least two kinds. There's what's called Heaton voodoo, because originally it comes from the Isle of Haiti. Haiti? Is it pronounced Haiti or Haiti? Haiti, I think. Yeah, Haiti, excuse me. It's from the Isle of Haiti. Is the oldest documentation of it is from Haiti. Even though a lot of people say it's actually prevalent throughout Africa, especially the southern part of Africa. But what's interesting is that because of the influx of slavery and the populations of Africa into America, voodoo kind of splintered off, and so it's referred to modernly as Louisiana voodoo or Bayou voodoo. Excuse me, as some people call it. Mainly because in a lot of the legends, because voodoo isn't just magic, it's a whole religion. In fact, actually, we'll explain in a little bit more detail. Neat. Did you remember to thank Laveau? Did she give you your? Because Sean is in the chat saying that they left a penny at her plaque. Did you make a wish? Of course, now they'd be quiet. We'll get back to that. Anyway, um, now Louisiana voodoo is interesting because kind of like how occultism blended paganism and Christianity to kind of mishmash together. Uh, yeah, it is. There's still a lot of the original Haiti voodoo in it, but Louisiana voodoo, it also incorporates a lot of Catholicism, specifically saints. Um, in fact, one of the most holy days in voodoo is actually Saint John Eve, the night before the day commemorating and celebrating. Uh, is it John the Baptist or John the Apostle? Because they weren't the same person. That's a good question. Anyone in chat know? Is St. John's Day for John the Baptist or John the Apostle? Mom says she did make a wish. Okay. But anyway, no, Catholicism and voodoo blended pretty much hand in hand and became Louisiana voodoo. Um, and to be fair, in defense of the voodoo practitioners, there are a lot of similarities, actually, between Christianity and voodoo. Both are monotheistic. Even though there are lots of spirits in voodoo, there is one supreme spirit. There's an evil force like the devil. They both deal heavily about the afterlife and paying for your crimes and good and evil and things like that. Okay, so it is the day for John the Baptist. Okay. Yeah, the holy day for John the Baptist, the night before that, is one of the most holy things in all of Louisiana voodoo. But yeah, Louisiana voodoo is the weird blending of Catholicism and original Haitian voodoo. But anyway, and the interesting thing about voodoo is everyone calls it magic. It's not. It's faith. Because you see, in order to do the magic of voodoo, you need the help of a creature called a Lao. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, a Lao is basically a fancy word for a spirit. Some of them are like angels or demons. Some are ghosts. Like there was one practitioner, I read an interview he did, where he was saying that his Lao, the Lao that he worked with for his magic, was actually the soul of his little brother who died as a child. But anyway, yeah, most practitioners of voodoo, they say they have a personal relationship with a Lao, and basically all their magic rituals are elaborate ways of communicating with the Lao to carry out some kind of action or task. Loa? Loa. Is that how it's pronounced? Loa? Again, I've never heard the word said out loud. I've only read it, so I don't know if it's pronounced Lao or Loa. But either way, yeah, it might. Yeah, I guess Loa sounds kind of right. But anyway, the creature itself, they can be all kinds of different things, and there are very powerful ones that are kind of like angels or demons. One that most people hear of, a kind of poster child of voodoo, is of course Baron Samedi, a very powerful spirit. He's kind of like the Grim Reaper. He decides when you die. And there's a ritual you can perform to beseech him to extend your life that involves getting drunk off of rum. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm saying that's what I've read. Part of the rituals to beseech Baron Samedi involve getting drunk on rum. He has a holy beverage. Personally, I'm not a big fan of rum myself. I'm a gentleman. I drink gin. Back when I drank. I don't really drink anymore. Not a big fan of it in general, but yeah. I couldn't tell you about drinking rum versus gin. But anyway. Now, one of the things I found very interesting when I was doing the research is a lot of practitioners will actually say to not call them a witch doctor. They don't like that, apparently. A lot of them even claimed that witch doctor is a white man word, a white term. What a bro. What a bro. Supposedly, yeah, Baron Samedi supposedly is a pretty cool dude. Supposedly he's a very fun, happy deity, despite being essentially a lesser god of death. But anyway, supposedly they're not called witch doctors. Don't call them that. That's actually an insult. I'm going to try and pronounce this, and this is from the Isle of Haiti. A practitioner of voodoo is called, for a man, it's a Bokor. B-O-K-O-R. Bokor. And a woman is called a Kaplata. And they both, anyone can practice it. Anyone can do it. It doesn't matter who you are. It matters if you have the ability to speak with spirits and can get them to help you. Now, what's funny is that a lot of voodoo has a lot to do with like herbology. There's lots of medicine and brewing remedies and ointments and stuff like that, which is kind of ironic because that's the majority of voodoo lore is actually healing, medicine. I mean, that's one of the reasons the term doctor became so synonymous with people who actually did it, because it was mostly healing. It's mostly a healing art. But there are also bad practitioners. There are bad things you can do. The most obvious thing, of course, is the voodoo doll, which is funny because a voodoo doll can be used for good, supposedly, as well. Because, again, the voodoo doll is kind of just like... The point of it is it's giving something to direct the spirit at, the Lawa, or Lao. I'm not sure which one it is. I'll leave it to the bishops to to educate Christian lore here. But anyway, gonna get back on topic, boys and girls. The voodoo doll can be used for good or bad. But yes, supposedly it can be used for very evil things. Most people kind of get the voodoo doll wrong. They picture just a doll with like stuffing or things like that. No, a voodoo doll must be made of wax. Wax is oddly important in voodoo, especially in the Hayden or Hedon version, the older kind. Wax is very important, not cloth. It needs to be wax. New Christian lore drops. You know, I keep saying we're probably going to have to bite the bullet and eventually do an episode talking about, you know, the lesser known stories of Christian lore, you know, like talk about the actual biblical angels and biblical demons and stuff. But not today. I tell you, Sean's going to be so happy, though. He's going to just be like, Christian lore, yeah! Hello, Scully. Welcome to the party. But anyway, yeah, the voodoo doll is very powerful and pretty common, honestly. Must be made of wax. And the way it actually works, and the reason that only stronger practitioners will actually use it or should use it, is because what you do is you hold the doll in your hand and you proclaim who it is. Some stories say you need something from that person, like a piece of cloth, or their hair is very common. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you need to name it. You need to say, the doll in my hands is Bob from accounting. I don't know. Somebody. And basically, when you use a voodoo doll, you put a pin somewhere in the body and you have to explain what you want to kind of happen. For example, Bob is a thief. Bob stole from me. So his hands should be punished. And you put a pin in where the hand of the doll would be. And what you're doing is you're telling your Loa or your Lao, whatever you want to call it, attack this. Go for this. But here's the catch. If you do this, you're giving that spirit free reign to do whatever they want as long as it's attacking that part of the body, things like that. Now, that's very dangerous because a spirit with no restraints can do a lot of damage, could do anything they want. So you have to be very careful. And that's why a lot of practitioners are like, well, I don't trust this spirit to do this task. I think he'll go too far or he won't do enough, things like that. Anyway, though, so a lot of people will tell you to really use a voodoo doll. That is the mark of a very strong voodoo practitioner, or at the very least, someone who has a lot of confidence in their spirit that they have helped them. And almost on cue, my computer is freaking out again. Everything's good on that end, right?
Yeah, everything's good here.
Holy cow, what the hell? Not only is it constantly turning off now, it's actually starting to get kind of hot. Hold on, people. We're having more technical difficulty there. Okay, I think... Okay, hold on. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Can you guys see me? You can hear me? We're good? We're good?
Everything's good, yeah.
Okay, cool. That keeps happening. Man, that is weird. I don't know. What the hell was that? Sorry about that. Might need to click it. We'll work on that later. Anyway, though, what a strange and bizarre episode. But yeah, like I said, voodoo is very interesting because it's very intricate, and there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding about it. And like I said, there's actually, again, if you looking into it and listening to people who claim to actually practice it, voodoo dolls and hexes, a big one they talk about is zombification, which we'll get to in just a second. But a lot of people, that's like, a lot of people don't realize that's like the surface. There's a lot of actually positivity to voodoo, which is why we're not going to talk about it here, because that's not the point of the episode. Anyway, yeah, there's people in the chat giving me advice about my computer now. Yes, we'll look into it when the show's over. But anyway, and like I said, we will definitely come back to voodoo when we're not specifically talking about evil. But before we leave it, we're going to talk, of course, about the big ugly one, zombification. Now, zombification is another thing that's kind of inaccurately known by pop culture. A voodoo zombie is not what you're thinking. We're not talking about Resident Evil or stuff like that. It's actually something that is very real. And also, it's a horrible thing to do to another human being. So, zombification is a special kind of poison, actually. It's made... Don't ask me the specific ingredients, but it's made from blending certain herbs, supposedly with the poison from pufferfish. Which, by the way, is one of the nasty. You ever notice that anytime people talk about natural poisons being really bad, pufferfish come up. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how potent pufferfish are for their poisons. Yeah, I know they're snakes, but yeah. But no, supposedly the zombification potion is a blend of special herbs and pufferfish poison. And basically what it does is it shuts down parts of your brain. Mostly the cognitive thinking parts of your brain. And it kind of is unlife. Real accounts of people being poisoned with this stuff, yeah, they kind of just shuffle around and mumble. They're in states of confusion. Supposedly they're very influenceable. That's the goal of getting someone poisoned with this voodoo potion, is that it makes you able to control them. And the whole story comes about the whole thing about, well, they're undead. Well, not literally. They're more barely alive is the term I would use. They can't really think or talk. And there are some people who even claimed, like, oh, I have a dozen zombie slaves. You know, I poisoned dozens of people like this. There are some people who even claim that the war on drugs was actually partially to cover up an epidemic of zombification. It's like, oh yeah, that darn marijuana, man, it's messing with people's heads. Meanwhile, there's some voodoo practitioner like just recruiting. Outlast. I never played Outlast. I've never played Outlast. But anyway, yeah. Zombification. See, that's something that I've actually always kind of wondered. How do we get from basically someone who's made brain dead to like Umbrella Corps, the Umbrella Corp? You know what I mean? How do we get from those two different zombies? Yeah. Because when you really think about it, they're not at all alike. A voodoo zombie is not some drooling, hungry corpse that eats flesh or brains or stuff like that. They're a person who's basically been chemically brain shot and can't refuse what they're told to do. I've heard some stories that you can recover from zombification. LSD in the 56. I don't know too much about drugs, so I'm not sure what would be comparable to zombification, because basically, again, zombification basically is your brain, all your active parts of your brain shut down. The only thing that keeps functioning is basically the stuff that keeps you alive. You know, the breathing and your heart beating and stuff like that. They can't think. They just kind of shuffle around, and maybe they can do what they're told. I've heard stories about that too, about the government actually looking into the implications of using voodoo and zombification and stuff like that. But anyway, what's interesting is a lot of the practitioners that I was reading about and stuff I saw, a lot of them will tell you that zombification is like the line in the sand. Only bad people will use zombification. That's like the cardinal sin. You can't come back from that. Once you zombify a person, that is like unforgivable. It is evil. You know, I look in the chat and I see what Chet just said, and I don't know what to say to that. You know, some people, I've seen some streamers who like have a bot that'll say, like, talk out loud what is being said in the chat. And I'm just going to say this, I'm so glad I don't have that, because Chet, I don't think you can say that on YouTube. But anyway, as I was saying, um, zombification is like the lowest of the low. A lot of practitioners will tell you it's like, you know, yeah, there's questionable areas, there's gray, not most things are not, definitively good or bad, It's how you use them or what you use them for. That's what makes it good or bad. Not zombification. That is crossing a line. That is evil. That is devilry, so to speak. Um, but yeah, so that's the dark side of voodoo, and we will go ahead and put a pin in it because we will discuss voodoo again. The lighter side of it, the more good stuff. Miss Laveau absolutely will be discussed. I personally like Miss Laveau. I think she's a really cool character and interesting. Um, but we're gonna go to our big grand finale, the one that if some people were insulted by voodoo and stuff like that, this is gonna make people really mad. So of course we're gonna kick off the end of the show by discussing it. You had to know it was coming. Witches. Witches themselves. The big granddaddy of black magic, so to speak. Now I'm going to clarify a few things. Yes, there are good witches. There are good implications, according to them, for witchcraft. There's also bad implications. And again, as a card-carrying member of the dark side, this whole show, we're talking about the dark side, the bad ones. We're going to discuss the evil witchcraft and evil witches. I'm just expecting my phone to blow up any second now. Someone's going to be like, I'm going to turn you into a toad. Great. Yeah, that's a great way to show that witches aren't evil. Starting to turn me into a toad. Anyway, though. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way. From what I was finding, there's basically three kinds of witches. And I'm not talking about good or bad. I'm saying there's three categories they fall into. There's three uses of the word witch. There is there's three uses of the terminology. Yeah, that's one way to deal with a witch, Sean. Anyway, though, there are three ways which the word is used. First is Wicca. And I have to explain here. I personally don't understand the connection here. Wicca is an old nature-worshipping religion from Europe, mostly Central Europe. Where the hell it got connected to witchcraft, I don't know. I mean, the words are kind of similar, but really there's nothing witchcrafty to do with Wicca. Aside from that many Wiccans call themselves witch. There's not much else there. Wicca is a form of nature worship. It's not good or evil at all. Very feminist. Very feminist. Oh my good heavens. You want to kill a couple hours? Ask a Wiccan about the goddess. Or however many goddesses they have. Like, oh, boy howdy. Boy howdy. Very, very feminine nature worship. That's Wicca. And I personally don't see why they call themselves witches. Because witchcraft in every other context has nothing to do with Wicca. But before I get an angry mob of bra burners coming after me, we're going to move on to the second kind of witches, which is fairy tale creatures. These are the ones that most people know. The ugly old crone who lives in a forest or something and likes to eat children, which, by the way, I'm going to ask real quick, to all my dear diabolists out there, Why would you want to eat a child? They're small. There's like hardly any meat. Have you seen children? There's like no meat. Why would you eat a child? I don't get that personally. I mean, I don't know. But that they're a fairy tale creature. And this is the one that most people know of them. Most people know the term witch from, like Aesop or Grimm fairy tales. For context, I'm saying Wicca. But anyway, we're gonna Wicca. And again, I'm not gonna go in that because personally, I'm gonna say it's my bloody show, and I don't see the connection. I'm sorry. Every other kind of witch has nothing to do with Wicca. Wicca is its own entire thing. I don't know why they call themselves witches. They don't tie into it. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Just waiting for somebody to turn me into a frog. I'm waiting for it. Bring it on. I'm not scared of you. Of course, Sean is complimenting the fairy tale witches. It's pretty dope having a candy house. In the summertime, that would be horrible. Well, I guess if you're out in the middle of Europe, it's always kind of cold and miserable there, so maybe it didn't get so bad. I don't know. But anyway, fairy tales are mostly what people know of witches. The ugly old crones who, eat children. They can do evil magic like curses or hexes. I've made the joke multiple times tonight, turning people into frogs. But anyway, these tend to have more to do with kind of retelling of pagan stories, of evil forest creatures and spirits and things like that. But that's what they are. They're more of a myth. They're kind of the go-to, come to think of it, for especially for the Brothers Grimm. They loved writing about witches and cannibalism. I'm kind of surprised we talked about cannibals and we didn't bring up the Brothers Grimm, because I'm thinking about it now and it's like, shut up! I tell you, the guy in the bush is just weird, isn't he? We need to stick Choopy on him. Give him a reason to scream bloody murder. Don't talk about your mother like that. I blame myself, honestly, for just giving them ammo. For the context, no, my mother is not a nasty old crone who lives in the forest and eats children. She's on a diet. The bishop is over there in the corner just like praying or something. I don't know. Really hope you guys aren't hearing that too loud. There's a bunch of J-holes out there in the distance, off camera, screaming and shouting and hollering. We need a witch to take care of them. Are there any Aesop or Grimm witches in the chat that can go and take care of that for us? Anyway, though. Now, the third one is interesting to me because for all I could tell, this is actually the origin of the terminology. This is where the word witch comes from that I was able to dig up. Biblical witches, who are very misunderstood, actually. It's really weird how people don't really get it. They talk about witches, and they talk about the fairy tale ones, even for the ones that are mentioned in the Bible, which is weird. Witches in the Bible are not innately evil. They were denounced by Jesus in the book, not Revelations, in the New Testament, I should say. They were denounced, but to be fair, in the Bible itself, they're not that bad. In fact, the first account of a witch in the Bible was actually an advisor to King David. And what's interesting is that the term witch is really oddly used in the Bible. Um, because witches in the Bible, they're not like the evil old crone with a big cauldron who eats children in the forest and stuff that we see in fairy tales. The big thing with witches in the Bible is they're more like what we would call a necromancer. They can summon the dead or talk to ghosts and read bones and things like that. You know, necromancy. But they're referred to as witches in the Bible. And there's also warlocks, which there's a big misconception with witches and warlocks. A lot of people say, well, a warlock is a male witch. No. No. A warlock is a powerful... there's a couple of warlocks mentioned in the Bible, and they're always like the level up of a witch. The few times that warlocks are mentioned, they lead covens of witches. In fact, in what was it? Acts, I think. In Acts, the book Acts in the Bible, some warlocks get together and they actually basically buy a city. What was it? Ephesus? They bought the city of Ephesus, or they gained power over Ephesus because they like amassed thousands and thousands of silver coins or something like that. But like, yeah, the whole warlocks are men, witches are women. I don't know where that comes from because that's not the biblical context. A warlock is a powerful witch, and they can be a man or a woman. A witch is a male witch. Yes, actually, there we go. Chet, we agree on something finally. Witch is gender neutral. A man or a woman could be a witch by any of the definitions. Whether it's a Wicca, a fairy tale, or a biblical witch, they can be men or women. Same with a warlock. A warlock is just the leader of witches. And I don't remember the book, but I do remember specifically there was a warlock that King David was afraid of. He was like, don't mess with that guy. He's dangerous. But yeah, I never understood the difference or how the difference came about where women are called witches and men are called warlocks. Although I will say voodoo does different. They use different names if you're a man or a woman, so maybe that's where it comes from. But in any case, biblical witches are odd. They're not actually evil. They were denounced because they do magic that you're not supposed to do. They cross boundaries that you're not supposed to cross. You know, but the big thing with them in the Bible is they could talk to the dead or summon ghosts, and reading bones was a big one. Seeing signs, so to speak. But yeah, it's funny because, you know, you have these different ways that the term is used, and none of them are even close to each other. You've got Wicca, who are nature worshippers. You've got, excuse me again. You've got the fairy tale characters. ...1960s TV show. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Bewitched. I remember Bewitched. I always preferred I Dream of Jeannie, personally. But Bewitched was a cool show, too. I remember that show. Like I said, I preferred Bewitched or I Dream of Jeannie or Gilligan's Island to Bewitched, but it was a cute show too. I never saw that movie they made of it a couple decades ago. But yeah, see that one, she wasn't bad either. She was, if I recall correctly, she was kind of a klutz, wasn't she? The witch in Bewitched, wasn't she kind of like a good intending fool? But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. It's weird because the term witch is so prolific, but all the things it's used for are so different from each other. The biblical witch is nothing like the fairy tale witch, and the fairy tale witch is nothing like Wicca, and Wicca is nothing like the biblical. Paganism. Paganism is basically pre-Christian or pre-Abrahamic. I'm talking about like the Norse, the various regional religions of Europe, things like that. The old gods, if you will, which are very strongly tied to witchcraft, because a lot of these legends and stories come from the pre-Christian time frames. Really like to send those obnoxious people out in the desert into the pre-Christian time frames. I really hope you guys aren't picking these up because they are so bloody loud. Not the... I'm just going to say it, I didn't like that movie. I didn't like Wicker Man. I didn't like that movie. But, yeah, paganism and pagan is a loose term for basically pre-Christian, or pre-Abrahamic, I should say, because technically you have Hebrew or Jewish, which is before Christian. Anyway, pre-Abrahamic. That's what I mean with pagan or paganism. It's a blanket term. I know that the Norse paganism is very different from like Egyptian or Native American, things like that. It's just a loose term so I can quickly assess it. So I don't have to sit here for 5 minutes and explain the differences between Woden and Odin. Because yes, there are differences. But anyway, yeah, witches have always been kind of interesting to me because they're all over the place. And personally, me, I don't see the connections between them. I don't see where you get Wicca, fairy tales, and Bible stuff. There were 2 movies? There were 2 Bewitched movies? Wait, what are we talking? Oh, there were 2 Wicker Men. That's right. Take your pick. They're both pretty much awful in my personal opinion. I'm just ticking everyone off tonight, aren't I? Ugh. I'm just making everybody mad. Everyone dislikes me. That's okay, folks. Hate me. It's not going to stop me from doing the show. You think I'd do this for popularity? Although I can just feel our subscriber count going down. I can just feel people unsubscribing. Druid is another old term. Although I would argue Druid is kind of its own thing. I would actually argue Druid goes into pagan. But yeah, some people do use the term as an alternative to pagan or paganism. That's another thing we should talk about sometime, Druids. Druids are cool. They're kind of like witches in that, like, you hear very different uses of the terminology, and most of them are wrong. But in any case, no. Yeah, witches are kind of weird to me because I don't get it. I just don't understand the connection. I don't know how you go from summoning ghosts and talking to the dead to eating children in the woods to basically nature worship. Like, these all seem like very different things, but for some reason, some way, culture or society has just kind of bled all those things into the term of a witch. Yeah, Sean, there's the stories that the Druids constructed Stonehenge. That's a thing I've heard. I've also heard Stonehenge was built by aliens. My goodness. Alien Druids! They originate from Scotland and Ireland. Yep. That'd be Western Europe? Scotland and Ireland, that's the western part of Europe? Northern-ish? Geography is one of my weak spots, people in the chat, by the way. There's a D&D nerd who's like, Druids are my favorite class. Nerd. I wonder if people watching have ever caught on to the fact that our sign with the chat is to hide the microphone, and that's why I always whisper into the Vatican sign. Put it back. That looks terrible. But anyway. Wow, really? Has it already been an hour 25? Wow. Time flies when you're ticking off everyone on the internet. England. Can you imagine if I had actually gone on to that second rant that I almost went on to about when we were talking about occultism and Satanism? I mean, we could probably get like a whole another 15 minutes of that. Oh boy, howdy, let me tell you. We're not gonna though, because this is a happy place. This is a positive place. Whilst we talk about cannibals, alien abductions, demonic possessions, and the use of magic for evil purposes, like zombification and summoning demons. Hold on here. Really, Sean? Really? So ancient alien theory reduced you to tears. Bishop, make a note of that so that we can use that against him in the future. It's like calling a follower of Christ Christian. The bishop is in the corner just picking out his most dank ancient aliens memes just for you, Sean. Just for you. Oh dear. Oh dear. What are you doing? Whoa. Whoa, mama! Wow, that just enveloped the screen. You didn't. But any case, I kind of figured today we'd be ruffling some feathers, you know. It's kind of funny that this same chat was cool with talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, you know, and cannibalism and all this stuff. But don't you dare misuse the word witch, which is used 1,000 different ways for 1,000 different things. Mr. Bishop is on our team. You know, it's kind of sad that the atheists' only allies on his show are the bishops. You know what's funny is I was literally just thinking about that movie the other day. I haven't seen that one in a long time. I wouldn't mind. I liked the original indie movies. Never saw Crystal Skull, though I've heard it's bad. That was the Ark of the Covenant was the Last Crusade. No, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Last Crusade was when they were looking for the Holy Grail, wasn't it? Yeah, real quick, chat. What's your favorite? I know what Sean's gonna say just to make us angry. But Raiders is my favorite. I can never keep them straight over which is which, but I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite. Thank you for the consideration, Chet, but no, we don't need anyone to drop a storm on top of some obnoxious people out in the desert. We'll let them sort themselves out, or we'll stick Choopy on them. Maybe it's Choopy. Choopy? Is Choopy mad at me? Is that why my computer keeps messing up? Choopy? Uh-oh. Not again. Okay, there we go. It's back on. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh. Choopy. Yes, we have a little plush Choopy. This is not our product. This is just something cute that I got on the internet. Oh, poor guy. He's too short to be on the camera. Are you a chupacabra or a culp? There we go. Put him. There we go. There you go, Choopy. The pantheon, the pantheon of the vagrancy horror just expands ever further. Choopy the chupacabra, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, we're looking at 90 minutes here. I'll take him to. No! Get your own strange monsters. The only one I remember is the Crystal Skull. I knew he'd say that. I knew Sean was going to say Crystal Skull. I knew it. Anything he can say that he thinks will hurt us. Get those memes on standby. Anyway, though, we're going to wrap this up tonight. I hope you guys did have fun with it. I'm sure there's going to be controversy. I'm sure some people didn't like it. New Vagrancy horror lore. Yes. But anyway, yeah, we're going to be signing off here. I hope you guys did have fun with it. I hope you guys will come back next week when we are going to be discussing cursed objects. Cursed objects and strange stories pertaining to specific things. Tune in, because if you're lucky, or unlucky depending on your opinion, maybe next week you'll get to hear me sing. Because we have a cursed song. Excuse me. A cursed song we will be discussing with our cursed objects. Just let you all have that dire warning. We will be talking tomorrow. Oh, God. What cursed objects are you looking forward to? Yeah, what? Do you guys have any personal favorite stories with cursed objects before we leave here today? Sean's hyped to hear me sing. Robert the doll, creepy dolls in general. I hate dolls. Well, most dolls. You guys are cool. Most dolls. Yep, dolls. People want cursed dolls. Oh, I hate dolls personally. Oh God, we're gonna be talking next week about cursed dolls, and I'm gonna have to sing now. This is gonna be like, this is gonna be one of the most difficult shows for me to do since the hot sauce tasting. Oh, I'm gonna suffer. Promised. Oh boy. It's okay. I knew what I was doing. They should make an officially cursed Barbie doll. Yeah, I'm sure there's a cursed Barbie out there. But in any case, that was our discussion this week of practitioners of the dark arts. We will return to this topic in the future, discussing the other side of the coin at some point. So don't worry, we will be discussing it all. But until then, as always, guys, keep checking the shadows.